Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. In Highland Park, Illinois, the death toll in Monday's mass shooting at the city's July 4th parade has risen to 7. The dead include a married couple, Irina and Kevin McCarthy, who attended the parade with their 2-year-old son, Aiden, who was found wandering alone after the shooting. The boy's father died as he tried to protect his son from the rooftop sniper, who fired 70 rounds at parade-goers. 9 shooting victims remain hospitalized. On Tuesday, authorities filed 7 counts of first-degree murder against the suspected gunman, a 21-year-old resident of Highland Park named Robert Crimo. Police also acknowledged they visited the man's house twice in 2019. First, after his family said he tried to take his own life by suicide, and then when he threatened to, quote, kill everyone. This is Chris Covelli, a spokesperson for the Lake County Sheriff's Office.
The second occurred in September of 2019. A family member reported that Crimo said he was going to kill everyone, and Crimo had a collection of knives. The police responded to his residence. The police removed 16 knives, a dagger, and a sword from Crimo's home. At that time, there was no probable cause to arrest. There were no complaints that were signed by any of the victims. The Highland Park Police Department, however, did immediately notify the Illinois State Police of the incident.
Police say over the next 3 years, the gunman legally purchased 5 firearms, even though the Illinois State Police have been notified about the police visits. On Tuesday, Vice President Kamala Harris visited Highland Park. She also addressed the National Education Association convention in Chicago, where she called on Congress to renew the assault weapons ban.
There is no reason that we have weapons of war on the streets of America. We need reasonable gun safety laws.
In reproductive rights news, Mississippi's near-total ban on abortion is set to go into effect on Thursday after a judge rejected a challenge by Mississippi's only abortion clinic, Jackson Women's Health Organization. Meanwhile, Florida's 15-week abortion ban has been reinstated after it was temporarily blocked Tuesday by a state judge. A grand jury in Georgia, probing Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the state's 2020 election, has subpoenaed 7 Trump advisors and allies, including Rudy Giuliani, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, and the attorneys John Eastman and Jenna Ellis. The Fulton County District Attorney launched the probe after the Washington Post reported Trump had called Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, on January 2nd, 2021, and urged him to, quote, find 11,780 votes. Meanwhile, the House January 6th committee has announced it will hold its next hearing on Tuesday, July 12th at 10 a.m. Eastern. The hearing is expected to look in part at the far-right groups that attacked the U.S. Capitol at the urging of former President Trump. Democracy Now! Will live stream that July 12th hearing at democracynow.org. In news from Ukraine, the governor of the eastern province of Donetsk has urged more than 350,000 residents to evacuate as Russian forces attack areas across the region. Russia's focusing its assault on Donetsk after taking full control of the neighboring Luhansk region. The 2 areas make up what's known as the Donbas region. Residents in Donetsk have reported coming under intense shelling.
They're shelling everywhere now, but I don't really want to leave my home behind. I have a child. I hope someday this will stop. I hope for peace. I hope they stop shelling, that we can move around the city calmly, walk around, and go to the sea one day.
In other news from Ukraine, the Wall Street Journal reports the Russian military is turning Ukraine's largest nuclear power plant in Zaporizhzhia into a military base by deploying heavy artillery batteries and laying anti-personnel landmines. Officials say Russia is using the nuclear plant as a base for its artillery, knowing that Ukraine can't attack a nuclear power plant without risking a nuclear disaster. Zaporizhzhia is the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson suffered another major political setback Tuesday when two senior cabinet ministers resigned, Finance Minister Rishi Sunak and Health Secretary Sajid Javid. The resignations came as Johnson faces increasing criticism for promoting a member of the Conservative Party who was accused of groping two men. On Tuesday, a Downing Street spokesperson admitted Johnson had been briefed in 2019 about the sexual abuse allegations, but claimed he had forgotten about the complaints. A growing economic crisis and gas shortage in Sri Lanka has forced the nation to keep its schools shut for another week because there is not enough gas for students and teachers to travel to school. Authorities have also announced plans to cut electricity by up to 3 hours a day because the country does not have enough fuel. Sri Lanka is also facing a dire shortage of food and medicine. On Tuesday, Sri Lanka announced it'll stop printing money as inflation is expected to reach 60% this year. The Israeli military conducted large-scale raids across the occupied West Bank today, detaining at least 42 Palestinians. Israeli forces shot dead a 20-year-old man named Rafiq Riyad Ghanem during a raid in the village of Jabba near Jenin. This comes just 3 days after Israeli forces shot dead 18-year-old Palestinian Kamel Awana in the same village. In Europe, police in at least 5 countries have arrested about 130 suspects accused of being involved in smuggling people across the English Channel to the United Kingdom. Raids were conducted Tuesday in Germany, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and the UK. This is Marco Ellermann, a police spokesperson in the German city of Osnabrück.
Hundreds of police and special forces have been in action this morning in many countries, not just in Germany, but also in Belgium, France, the Netherlands, and Great Britain. The aim of these raids was to counteract the international human trafficking ring and to disrupt it.
In Turkey, police fired tear gas and pepper spray at an LGBTQ+ pride march Tuesday in Ankara. At least 36 people were arrested. Last week, Turkish authorities broke up a larger pride march, detaining more than 350 people. In news from Ecuador, President Guillermo Lasso has accepted the resignation of 4 cabinet ministers in the latest fallout from last month's indigenous-led protests decrying Lasso's economic policies. The resignations include Lasso's economic and health ministers. In Washington, D.C., the Justice Department has agreed to a $98,000 settlement with a group of 6 Muslim, Arab, and South Asian men who were rounded up after the September 11th attacks and held in federal custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. As part of the settlement, the director of the Bureau of Prisons wrote a letter to the men acknowledging they were, quote, held in excessively restrictive and unduly harsh conditions of confinement. The letter also admitted a number of the men were physically and verbally abused by officers at the jail. The agreement settles a lawsuit brought by the Center for Constitutional Rights. And a federal judge in California has thrown out Trump-era changes that weaken the Endangered Species Act by allowing regulators to factor in economic considerations when granting endangered status. The ruling came in a case brought by Earth Justice, the Sierra Club, and conservation groups. An attorney for the Sierra Club said, quote, in the midst of a global extinction crisis, the court's decision to vacate the rules will help ensure that imperiled species receive the protections they desperately need. Unquote. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.